Good day, comrades. This is part 2 of the price of loyalty. And we talked about different variations of benefits that will come out of being loyal and problems that will come when you're disloyal. So I will continue. When we're not loyal to our people, we're maneuvered into other things that we find our heart turned toward because our heart is not turned toward the right thing. One time I was watching this program and this man in the movie said, if you're not busy living, you're busy dying. If you're not busy producing things that are life enhancing, you're producing things that are death enhancing. One builds, one destroys. So if we can't be loyal, the certain things that lead us to not be loyal to each other is cowardice. And there's a price to pay for being a coward. There's a saying that says a coward dies daily, 100 and 1,000 times over, but a hero or man of courage dies only one time. When we're in the context of the African struggle, we are basically what we call in the hood, or what we call in the community, or what we call in the black vernacular, between a rock and a hard place. Between a rock and a hard place. It's just a saying that a rock is an inanimate object that I can't really move or I can't really penetrate. And a hard place could be a series of things. It could be a situation you're in, like prison. It could be a bad marriage. It could be a bad society that is racist. So many times in the African struggle, we're between a rock and a hard place. And we almost have no choice but to either hook and crook to try to get out of it, or try to seek righteous and try to seek a God that's going to help us get out of this and give us extra wisdom to maneuver through this without being entrapped. And when I say entrapped, I'm talking about like a spider spins a web and he just sits there and waits for you to fall into it in order for him to devour you with his venom and catch you in it. A snake, you might have a little bit of a chance, but if you don't see the snake, you get bit and he could put his venom in you. But a web that's spun is something that you walk into that you didn't see necessarily coming, sort of like the snake, but you're entangled. And it holds you into a position so that the spider can come down and launch into you and consume you and attack you over and over and spin his web around you and bind you more. We're in a system, when it calls oppressive system, those things take many shapes. If you try to break, it's like if a system is a tree and you try to break off a branch of the tree, it can readily replicate itself and grow another branch. If it's a beast and it has two horns and you break off one horn, it can swiftly replicate itself and reinvent itself. It's like a beast. And when you're in a system that's like a beast, you have really no choice but to be loyal to your comrades because they are your ticket out. Because if you show disloyalty to the brother next to you, you will always be in that situation. So I'm not throwing stones at Europeans and I'm not throwing stones at the black on black criminal. But I tell you one thing, the black on black criminal, if you really look at his agenda, is very similar to the white on black oppressor and his agenda. The two work well together. He seeks recruits. The predator seeks alibis. Whether you oblige that recruitment or not, you have already joined forces with the ranks of the oppressor. You become allies of oppression and holding your brothers down. And one way you can say, oh, brother soldier, I never held my brothers down. I was always loyal. I was always there. That's why we roll. That's why we in the pen together. That's why we locked up. You know, yeah, yes and no. Because when you are in that situation, what can you do for your daughter that's out here? When you're bound up like that for years, what can you do for your wife or your mother that's out here? When the crap hits the fan, every man for himself, and all the strong, fighting, gallant, would-be men are incarcerated under full control of a predatory system that doesn't care 1 cent about you or the rest of your kinfolk. That means that's the price of being disloyal. You failed the test. Now you have to try to go back and take the test again, if you get that chance. It's a lot of self-denial, as the scriptures teach us, that keeps a man from going into lockup at will. That keeps a man from losing his temper at will. That keeps a woman from losing her cool at will. A lot of self-denial, a lot of self-sacrifice, a lot of hardship, a lot of pain. But you become a really valuable soldier in enduring. Scriptures say the race is not to the swift, he who's fastest, but to he that endureth to the end. What do you mean, brother soldier? It's a relay. You get the baton, you run your course. And when you finish your course, you pass the baton to your next brother. And he runs and finishes his course. And he passes the baton to the next brother. And he runs and he finishes his course. And he passes the baton to the next person. And the next, until the race is won by he that endured to the end. It's not to the swift. It's not overnight. It's delayed gratification. It's tears for one generation and rejoicing for the next generation. It's tears for the next generation and rejoicing to the next generation, if I can say it that way. It's a protracted war that lasts over the years. It's a battle. And God has a roll call. He needs a few good men like Moses. He needs a few good men like Joseph. He needs a few good men like Peter of the New Testament. He needs a few good men like Daniel the prophet, Elijah the prophet. He needs a few good warriors like Gideon. And possibly David, according to the scriptures. Where's God's men doing roll call? Why are you AWOL? Why did you take up a different battle? What made you feel that that forbidden fruit was the way to go? The price of loyalty pays off in the long run. The price of cowardice is short-lived. The price of selling your brother out is short-lived. Not only does man hate it, the Creator hates that kind of person. Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. Cain I hated, Abel I loved. One did what I said, one went against what I said. Brothers, you need to wake up. Sisters, you need to wake up. And even when a man sets his heart to do what's right and he is loyal, or she is loyal, is that member of the household that wants to break that up and break the spirit and allow Satan to enter and destroy and spoil the goods that your partner or your spouse would never have opened the door to. This has been happening all the way from the beginning. One man closes a door to and tries to honor God, the other man in the household will open the door to and say, what's the matter with this? Like the story with the forbidden fruit between the man Adam and his woman Eve, members of their own household. Where are we going with this? Okay, let's talk about the fruits. You will know a tree by its fruit. In North America, has one of the highest prison rates in the world. It's supposed to be the land of opportunity, the land of the free, home of the brave, the home of slavery, where it took place, brutal slavery. And then slaves are set free, so-called. Still in bondage, but set free. Then they go out and show what they're capable of. And the enemy's always pointing a finger at them, saying, look at them. Even with freedom, they can't even do right. They need to be taken back into the bondage, the yoke of bondage. But they the ones that created the system in the first place. You didn't have no say-so in the design of the system. But you filling up their prisons. Is it because you're inherently evil? Inherently filth and trash? Or is it because the system doesn't work for your type? Is the criminal really the one on the outside the prison and the one on the inside, in a lot of cases, is the victim? Okay? So, all this illusion of inclusion, or the illusion that you are equal in a system that has a history of saying that you're 3/5 of a human being, all of a sudden you're 100% human being now? The words say it in writing, but what did the actions show us? How the system, what's the barometer that we should use? What is the barometer we should use to determine whether we are doing well? Look at how your men are treated in that society. Don't look at the women. You can look at the women on a secondary level, but look at what the men are happening to the men. How are the men of your race treated? Say the men don't act right. The men don't do. If a man knows that the system is behind him, he's not going to too much be easy to deal with. He's going to be difficult to get along with because he knows that his chances are slim. So he's going to take risk. And that's where the web is spin, the catching, where the spider comes out and devours him. Feeds on him. He feeds on you. Predators, look, predators are hunters. And I find it very interesting. I'm going to get on this a little more in the future. But I find it very interesting that most of these men that are dying at the hands of white men are always at some type of routine traffic stop. Like somebody's going to just disobey the law right at some time that he's in his car, because that's the only avenue that the person has besides a job or a workforce to have contact with the black male, is through moving traffic. stops. And that's where he hunts and selects if he's a predator. So anyway, I move on. Maybe I'll go to part 3. Get the message, get your heart right, and prepare to meet your God. Hotep.